You have been told a comforting lie, a lie whispered in poetry, shouted in sermons, and sold to you in the warm glow of a screen. The lie is that you and the people around you are complex, that you are intricate, unique constellations of a billion shimmering thoughts and feelings. This is a fantasy for children. The truth is far simpler and far more elegant. A human being is a machine, a beautifully crafted, self-deluding biological engine. And, like any machine, it is governed by a simple, primary law. It is not driven by 1,000 competing desires, but by one, or at most two, a core desire or a core fear. This is the mainspring, the central gear from which all other motions are derived. Everything else, personality, ideology, morality, love, is merely the decorative casing built around this brutal, simple mechanism. Beneath the intricate tapestry of a person's life, their stated ambitions and their professed beliefs, lies a single switch, a single point of leverage. The rest is noise. Your task, if you wish to move from being a passenger of circumstance to a pilot of reality, is to disregard the noise and locate the switch. The 17th century Jesuit, Balthasar Gracián, understood this. He was a master of the human court, a place of smiling daggers and polite assassinations. He gave this principle a name. He called it finding the screw, *L primum, mobile *, the prime mover. He wrote that every will has a master key. For some, it is vanity. For others, it is avarice. For most, it is a desperate, gnawing fear of something, of irrelevance, of poverty, of being unloved, of being seen for what they truly are. The masses attempt to influence others through brute force. They argue, they plead, they push against the entire edifice of a person's will. This is clumsy. It is inefficient. It is like trying to move a locked steel door by throwing your shoulder against it. The master, however, does not push. The master examines the door, finds the keyhole, and inserts the key. A gentle turn, and the entire mechanism yields. Finding the screw is the art of applying precise, minimal pressure to the one point that will turn the entire person. So, how does one find it? This is not a matter of intuition or empathy. Empathy is a liability. It fogs the lens. This is a process of clinical diagnosis. It requires 3 stages: observation, hypothesis, and experimentation. First, observation. You must become a silent collector of data. People broadcast their core programming constantly, but they do so in a language of implication, not declaration. Listen to what they complain about. The theme of a person's complaints is the shadow of their core desire. Listen to what they praise, unprompted. The object of their unsolicited praise is often a mirror of what they wish to be themselves. Observe what they do when they believe no one of consequence is watching. Pay attention to the small, reflexive choices. The man who claims to value loyalty, but always aligns himself with the new power. The woman who speaks of spiritual peace, but checks the price of her stocks 6 times an hour. The things they return to, the conversational loops they are trapped in, these are the diagnostic signals. Their heroes revealed their aspirations. Their villains reveal their fears. Collect this data dispassionately. You are not a friend. You are a physicist observing a system. Second hypothesis. Once you have sufficient data, you formulate a theory of the screw. You must look past the obvious. A man who obsesses over money may not be driven by greed, but by a primal fear of the helplessness he experienced in childhood poverty. The screw is not wealth. It is the terror of powerlessness. A woman who constantly surrounds herself with admirers may not be vain, but is instead petrified of being alone. The screw is not admiration. It is the fear of silence, of her own company. Let us consider a precise example. The corporate idealist. He speaks of changing the world and ethical impact. A clumsy operator would appeal to his morals. You, however, have observed him. You notice that in every story he tells, he is the central figure, the one who saw the truth others missed. You notice he bristles not at unethical success, but at success achieved by those he deems his intellectual inferiors. Your hypothesis, his screw, is not idealism. It is intellectual vanity. His core desire is to be the smartest person in the room. His core fear is being exposed as average. Third, experimentation. This is the most delicate stage. You do not strike the screw with a hammer. You test it with a feather. You apply a microdose of pressure and observe the disproportionate reaction. For our corporate idealist, you would not challenge his ethics. Instead, in a meeting, you might casually praise a rival's recent strategy as deceptively brilliant, almost impossible to see at first. Then you watch him. Watch for the subtle tightening of the jaw, the slight narrowing of the eyes, the compulsion to immediately find a flaw in that rival's strategy. He will not be able to help himself. The machine must obey its programming. Or consider the devoted family man, whose identity is entirely built around being a provider and protector. His screw appears to be love for his family, but you have observed his deep resentment for a brother-in-law who is independently wealthy. Your hypothesis, the screw is not love, but a fear of failing to provide, of being seen as a lesser man. To test this, you casually mention a new private school, impossibly expensive, that the brother-in-law's children are attending. You are not suggesting he enroll his own. You are simply introducing data into his system. Watch his mood for the rest of the day. See if he becomes short-tempered, distant. You have turned the screw. You have activated his core fear. The reaction will be involuntary. This knowledge is not a toy. It is the most potent tool that exists. To know the screw of a person is to hold the blueprint of their will. The merely curious, the petty, and the vindictive will use this knowledge for small, vulgar triumphs. To win an argument, to secure a minor promotion, to feel a fleeting sense of power. In doing so, they often break the mechanism. A person who knows they have been read and manipulated becomes unpredictable or useless. That is not our purpose. This knowledge is a profound responsibility. It is for orchestration. It is for directing outcomes on a scale the sentimental cannot comprehend. It is not about breaking one person, but about aligning many. By understanding the core drivers of the key components in any system or company, a political movement, A family, you can predict and direct the behavior of the entire structure. You turn a series of small, precise screws, and the great machine of human affairs turns to your will. It is a cold art. It requires that you see people not as souls to be saved, but as gears to be calibrated. There is no good or evil in this. There is only efficient and inefficient design. You have been given the theory. The rest is laboratory work. The world is your laboratory. Do not look for complexity. Look for the simple, brutal, beautiful truth of the machine. Find the screw. The rest will follow. Go now and listen.